Lawyers defending American democracy. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva, and I am here with the amazing Lauren Rikleen, who is the Executive Director of the Lawyers Defending American Democracy. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for the work that y'all are doing.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me to be able to talk about the work that we are doing. Appreciate that.
Of course. So let's dive right in. First off, can you share a little bit about yourself, your role with the organization, and how you came to this organization?
Of course. I came to this organization actually, and I was invited to join the leadership group in August of 2020, which, as we all might recall, there wasn't a whole lot of alternatives. And so I was really thrilled to have an opportunity to weigh in on a topic that was so important. Over time, as I became more involved, I was asked if I would become executive director in September of 21. And that really was a result of the fact that it was a pretty brand new organization when I first got involved. Maybe there'd been a year and a half before. And over time, as democracy challenges continued to grow and grow, our work expanded. And although at that time we had no staff, I'm now as executive director with some support in consulting roles from particularly with respect to communications and the website and some operational support. But we are a very lean organization that is very dependent on the wonderful work of skilled volunteers who come from all walks of the legal world with amazing backgrounds and intellect to bring to the very varied work we do, which went from being challenging to unbelievably overwhelming in terms of what we face in this country right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the things that the Lawyers Defending American Democracy, like what types of initiatives do you guys push? Because you did something very significant in my home state of Florida, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, tell us a little bit more of what you've been doing nationally.
Well, we do a variety of things nationally. The one thing we don't do is litigate, but we do a whole lot of other things. So, for example, we file amicus briefs in appropriate cases where the rule of law and democracy are impacted. We, for example, got involved as amicus in the 3 of the cases involving executive orders against law firms for the very danger that those orders posed to the profession and by extension, the justice system. We do a tremendous amount of advocacy. We are always writing opinion pieces, reports, in so many different ways, emailings to people who subscribe to our newsletter, which can be done through just reaching out at ldad.org. So we are constantly trying to advocate about democracy and the rule of law and the Constitution. And we do a variety of special projects. So we have an initiative we are about to launch called Meeting the Moment, a call for lawyers to lead. And the purpose of that is to say the legal profession is not doing enough at the moment to protect the justice system and to protect the rule of law. And in fact, it's the legal profession that's really, the last bastion between what appears to be full-on autocracy and trying to preserve some semblance of democracy in this very difficult time. So our program, our initiative, is to get lawyers to use their own moral authority, their talents, their skills as trained lawyers who understand the Constitution, who understand what it means to have the rule of law at risk, and to use those skills in galvanizing their own communities around the country. So we will have state leads who are involved in helping to build teams that will work with faith-based organizations, business groups, community groups, civil society organizations, everything we can possibly do to break through disinformation, to cut through the lies and present actual facts in a way that we can help people understand just how grave this moment is in our democracy.
So do you guys like go to, let's say, homeowners associations, or you'd visit a church or a synagogue or a classroom just to kind of give democracy lessons? Is that something you do?
So we hope through this Meeting the Moment initiative that that's exactly what will be happening in communities around the country, that we will be doing everything we can to help people understand what is at stake and why it matters. Why it matters is really a theme right now for us in so many ways. Another project that we are working on is a series of articles with a publication called The Fulcrum, in which we are trying to tie together the executive orders and other edicts that have come out of this administration since January, their ties to Project 2025. We forget about Project 2025 because that's what people want, particularly in the administration. But in fact, that is a blueprint for autocracy. And it was created by people who studied Hungary and studied other autocratic forms of government and became the blueprint in so many ways for this administration. Many of its authors are now running the administration. So we want to show the link between the orders, the Project 2025, and the why it matters part. So in one, opinion piece across many, many different topics, people can read these articles, which are also available on our website, and understand just how severe the attack on democracy really is and how much it matters to our freedoms on a day-to-day basis. This isn't an intellectual discussion about some fine point of law. It is a conversation that we have to have about eroding freedoms that are taking place every single day in this country.
And you had mentioned earlier that it seems that attorneys were not doing enough in this moment. Why do you think that is? Where do you think the hesitancy is coming from?
So it's a fascinating question because LDAD was founded on that principle alone. It was the result of a speech that was given at a Harvard Law School reunion by a former two-term attorney general, Scott Harshbarger, who chairs our board, trying to galvanize the legal profession. This was in 2018 about abuses that were then taking place in the Department of Justice, and saying, where is the voice of the legal profession to speak up and do more? And people at that event heard him and said, yes, you are right. We need to do something. And out of that came LDAD. But what's interesting is the abuses then do not even remotely compare to what we're seeing today. And while on the one hand, we are deeply heartened by, for example, the voice of the American Bar Association over the last 6 months, which has been exemplary in terms of leading and understanding what a bar association can and should be doing at this time. I'll even put in a plug for them. I hope everybody hearing this joins the American Bar Association to show support for what they are doing. And so I'm heartened by that kind of activity in the thousands of lawyers who reach out to us, and I know others in this democracy space to try to help. That's one piece of it. But on the other, you have things like 9 of the richest, most powerful law firms in the world capitulating to the president's unlawful executive order. And I can say it's an unlawful executive order because now every court that's had a chance to look at that has said it's an unlawful executive order. And when you see that and you see the fear in the profession by some people to speak out because their law firms don't want them to, or because their law firms capitulated, or because their law firms have cut back on the desperately needed pro bono work in the immigration space. That is the part that breaks our heart every day, and that we want to be able to galvanize around them to say there is far more support here in this profession. And we're going to go out and we're going to find it. And we are going to work with every lawyer who wants to work with us to try to make change now.
Awesome. Awesome. So then getting to my home state of Florida, your organization filed a bar complaint with the Florida Bar Association having to do with Attorney General Pam Bondi and the activities that she's been doing in dismantling the Department of Justice. And unfortunately, the Florida Bar took one look at it and said, hey, nothing doing. Were you surprised by their reaction? And in light of their reaction, what's sort of the next steps? What can we do now?
Here's the critical point with respect to what you said. If only the Florida Bar had taken a look at it and said nothing doing. The Florida Bar practically by return email and in a blink of an eye said, oh, no, we will not even open an investigation into her because she serves as a, constitutional officer or a federal, I forget the exact language, but the bottom line is that because of her position in the federal government, they would not open an investigation. And that is more terrifying because it basically says that there are lawyers who served in critically important roles in this country, who are considered above the law, who are before the very entity that is supposed to regulate their adherence to the Code of Professional Responsibility. Those lawyers are being told don't worry about it. Do what you got to do as Attorney General. We'll, maybe not deal with it after, but probably emphasis on the maybe not. So we are, of course, looking closely at that in avenues of appeal and also looking at other ways in which the justice system, the Department of Justice is attacking the rule of law and undermining professional ethics or requiring some of its employees to take steps that may be in violation of professional ethics. And we're looking at it very closely at that. It is something we take quite seriously with respect to how do you hold lawyers accountable to be in full adherence to what the law says, what the rules of Code of Professional Responsibility says, and the oath that every lawyer takes to be able to practice. And we don't take that lightly. We have filed a number of complaints in the past that have resulted in disbarment, that have resulted in suspensions. But we do so when we feel that a threshold has been crossed in terms of the egregiousness of the behavior, the ability to back up the allegations that we make and the research that goes into it. So everything that we bring to these issues, it demonstrates a remarkable focus on making sure that nothing is done lightly, nothing is done out of, just with wave of a hand, but can be fully supported with with full support behind the assertions.
And to be clear, you're a nonpartisan organization. So this is not a matter of party. This is a matter of the rule of law and the survival of democracy, which is what this entire country is founded on, right?
Exactly. And I'm very grateful for you to say it that way, because first of all and foremost, we are absolutely a non-political, nonpartisan organization. We are a nonprofit organization. We follow the rules scrupulously and take that role quite seriously and are grateful every day that this country so far has nonprofit organizations that are allowed to advocate as they need to. And when people ask about the issues of partisanship at this time, the only answer I can give is we don't get to choose who may be acting to thwart or undermine democracy and the rule of law. We only can respond as best we can to those threats, but we don't get to say who's doing the violation or who is, acting in an authoritarian way when we have historically lived in a democracy. So we just do the very best we can to adhere to the law, to follow what the facts say and what the law requires in everything we do and say and write.
So, okay, I'm sold. Okay, I'm an attorney. I know that I could hit the website and volunteer. But what about the folks who are non-lawyers? How can they support? Are there ways to donate or volunteer, even if you don't have a law degree?
Well, first of all, thank you. We love that question, of course. So our website, again, ldad.org, there is very prominently featured, of course, a donate button on it. We also welcome any other kind of support. We want you to read our emailings. I do an emailing to, thousands and thousands and thousands of folks on our list almost every week. These are not fundraising requests, although they might see that once or twice a year. But really what they are updates about what we're doing, what kind of, we share the Bondi complaint, we share our amicus briefs, we share our articles, and we hope that people will sign up for our emailing so they can use the information that we provide to help educate their own friends and family and neighbors and colleagues. Every piece of work that we do is available on our website. We want to be a resource. That's why we're doing Meeting the Moment, so we can create these resources for lawyers and others to use around the country as a way to help try to move the needle on this issue and fight through the disinformation and fight through the lies that people get fed every single day. We want to change people's algorithms in effect. So yes, please visit our website. Please donate whatever you can. That's always wonderful. And please sign up for our newsletter so we can stay in touch. That would be awesome.
Well, you heard it here on Legal AF. We have resources that are out there, that are available, that are you can easily get them in your inbox and in your hands to make sure that you are the subject matter expert in your circle. So you're educating your friends, your family. You can beat back disinformation on socials. So make sure to sign up. Also, make sure to subscribe to Legal AF so you get to see and hear from amazing leaders like Lauren Rikleen from Lawyers Defending American Democracy. So make sure to hit that subscribe button right there. Lauren, thank you so much for all that you're doing. Thank you for fighting to preserve our democracy.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me and this wonderful opportunity to talk about our work. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren. Bye, y'all. We'll see you next time.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.